There I am, sitting across from the hiring manager, portfolio open, hands folded, doing everything right. And then the conference room door swings open and my mother-in-law walks in, pulls out a chair, and sits down like she was invited. Okay, back up 30 minutes. I'd been chasing this position for 2 months, senior graphic designer role, real salary, benefits, the whole thing. My husband, Derek, knew about the interview. I'd told him the address, the time, all of it. What I did not know was that he'd apparently mentioned it to his mother, Sandra, while she was visiting us for the week. And Sandra, bless her soul, decided that since the office was near the mall she wanted to hit anyway, she'd just ride along for the trip. Derek dropped me off and was supposed to take her shopping while I interviewed. That was the plan. A simple, reasonable plan. I walked into that building feeling genuinely good. Nice blazer, portfolio printed fresh, I'd rehearsed my answers. The hiring manager, let's call her Claire, greeted me warmly, led me to a small glass-walled conference room, and we sat down. It was going well, like actually well, and then the door opened. Sandra walked in like she owned the building. Coat still on, handbag over her elbow, completely unbothered. She looked at me, then at Claire, then sat down in the empty chair right next to me and said, "And I need you to hear the confidence in this," she said. "Oh, don't mind me, I just want to make sure she presents herself properly. She gets nervous." Claire blinked. I blinked. I said, "Sandra, this is a private interview. You need to wait outside." And Sandra, she waved her hand at me. Actually waved her hand like I was being dramatic. "I'll be quiet, I just want to listen. I have experience in hiring, I can give feedback after." Claire, to her absolute credit, said, "I'm sorry, this meeting is confidential. I'm going to have to ask you to wait in the lobby." And that's when Sandra shifted. She leaned forward and said, "She's my daughter-in-law. I know her better than anyone in this room. Frankly, you should want my input." "No, seriously," she said frankly. To the hiring manager, in my interview, I stood up and said very quietly, "Sandra, I will come get you when I'm done. Please go to the lobby now." She looked at me, tilted her head, and said, "You're being rude in front of your potential employer. That's not a great start, is it?" I felt something short circuit behind my left eye. Claire had stopped smiling. The interview I had prepared for, printed things for, lost sleep over, was sitting in a ditch. Claire stood up and said she was going to get someone from the front desk to help Sandra find the lobby. The second Claire left the room, Sandra turned to me and whispered this urgent, scandalized whisper, "You are embarrassing this family right now. I am trying to help you and you're acting like a child." And something in me just stopped being patient. I looked at her and I said, "Sandra, you walked into my job interview uninvited, told the hiring manager you're here to supervise me, and called me rude in front of her. You have actively damaged my chances at this job, so with all due respect, stop talking." She went red. "Excuse me, after everything we've done for you? Derek would be mortified if he heard you speak to me this way." I said, "Call him, go ahead. Call him right now and tell him exactly what you did." She opened her mouth, closed it. And then, because apparently we weren't done, she said, loud enough that I'm sure the people at the front desk heard, "I cannot believe you're treating family like this over a little job." A little job, a little job. I picked up my portfolio, looked her dead in the eye, and said, "Get out of this room before I ask them to remove you." And yeah, I know how that sounds, but I meant every syllable. Claire came back with the office manager, this tall, calm guy named Marcus, and Marcus walked Sandra out personally. Not aggressively, just firmly, hand extended toward the hallway like, "Right this way, ma'am." And Sandra went, but not quietly. She said, loud enough for the whole open plan office to hear, "This is how she treats family, just so everyone knows." There was a moment of absolute silence in that office. Like 20 people all stopped typing at the same time. And Marcus said clearly in his normal voice, "Ma'am, you entered a private meeting without authorization. You're welcome to wait outside the building." Outside the building. The whole floor heard it. I watched Sandra's face go from red to pale. She straightened her coat, lifted her chin, and walked to the elevator without another word. Claire came back in, closed the door, sat down, and said, "And I will never forget this, so." Where were we? We finished the interview, all of it. And at the end, Claire shook my hand and said my portfolio was exactly what they were looking for. I don't know yet if I got the job, but I know Sandra had to wait on a bench outside the building for 45 minutes until Derek came back from the mall. And when he called me afterward, I told him the whole story before Sandra could get her version in first. The silence on his end lasted a long time. We haven't talked about it since, which is honestly its own problem. But that's a different episode. Honestly, though, was I too harsh? Comment below.